Hello, the internet. Welcome to the results of the bottom of the East Division. We're getting very close to the end of round one. We just have the South Division left. We saw some major upsets in the previous. We saw a major upset in the previous video. Go back and watch that. Crazy upset. We could get another one in the South Division. Probably not, I think, quite as crazy in this one, but you never know. The dice can do crazy things. So, for those who haven't watched any of my videos, my oldest boy and I, we play each game. We're each rated at 1 out of 10, 1 to 10. Add those two scores up, and then we roll a die, if needed, and add half the value of the die. Any game that scores more than 2.5 points more than its opponent is declared to be a blowout. No dice are rolled. You see dice on Seven Wonders. Amazingly, the 3-seed Seven Wonders is not a blowout. Seven Wonders might actually, probably not, but might actually lose in the first round. We will see. That would be absolutely the most craziest bonkers one yet. But more on that later. So we got these 8 teams. We're going to see how they scored and which ones will move on. In addition to that, if any team does not score high enough, if they don't score at least an 18.5, they get bounced out of the tournament, and a team from the play-ins can come in. Right now on the bubble from the play-ins is the number 5 team, the team that took 5th place, which is Catan Rivals, the card game. We saw in the last video that finally Twilight Imperium punched its ticket into this tournament. We're also keeping track of relegations. Any game that scores a 14.5 or less is relegated, but that number might change, and I'll talk about that more when we talk about a little bit further into the video. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We've got our 3-seed Seven Wonders versus our 14-seed Talisman. Now, the reason why we have a piece of paper here is because it is a digital game. We will count digital board games as board games. Sometimes it just makes more sense. We used to have the physical copy of Talisman, but we just had the base edition from like the first or second edition, and it's more fun to play on the computer with a whole bunch of expansions, and the computer's just more fun to play. So I ended up selling the original version for a whole lot of money and just keeping the digital version. Well, like I can sell the digital version. All right, so Seven Wonders scored an 18.5, which is usually what you expect from a 1 or 2 seed. Seven Wonders is a game that every time we play it, we like it just a little bit more. Great game. Lots of people really like it. I probably don't have to explain it a whole lot, but every round you grab a card and you pass the rest of the cards. It's a card drafting game, and then you either play the card, you sell the card for 3 coins, or you tuck it under your or build your pyramid with it. Usually I score in the low to mid 50s, and my kid and my kids this time, because we played 4-player, and my wife usually score around in the high 30s, low 40s. So a lot of games, a lot of fun. But you do have to play a minimum of 3-player. There is a version to play 2-player, but it's really wonky. I don't recommend it. All right, so Talisman. Another game I really like. It's a game I've liked for a very long time. It's an older game. Oh, God, I can't believe I'm calling that an older game. It is a game I think we slightly like more. The older my kid gets, the more he likes games like this, because when he was younger, this game would just overwhelm him. Too many choices, too many decisions, too many things to do and keep track of. But it scored a 16.5, which for a 14 seed is ridiculously good. So it will definitely move up to a higher seed next year. Now, for Talisman to beat Seven Wonders, Talisman needs to roll a 6, Seven Wonders needs to roll a 1. Since Seven Wonders has already scored an 18.5, it is already safe unless it loses to Talisman. So the winner of this will move on to the next round 100%, but will it be Seven Wonders or will it be Talisman? There's only a 1 in 36 chance that Seven Wonders loses. The black die is Seven Wonders. The white die is Talisman. We need to see a 1 on black and 6 on white for Talisman to move on. Otherwise, Seven Wonders moves on to the next round, and they give a big congratulations and attaboy for having this actually be competitive at the end and come down to a dice roll at all, because 3 versus 14 usually does not. All right, and moving on to the next round is, well, we got the 1 from Seven Wonders, because that's what that is. You see it's a 1. But we only got a 4 for Talisman. And so therefore, a score of 19 to 18.5, a very close final score. Seven Wonders moves on to the next round. Now, if there had been a tie, if this had been a 5, the first tiebreaker goes to the team that scored the most points before the die roll, so Seven Wonders would have won the tiebreaker. All right, so Seven Wonders is our first from the east, from the bottom east, to move on to the next round, the 3 seed. Now we have the 6 seed versus the 11 seed. Our 6 seed is Stocks and Bonds. It's just an old 3M game, a lot of fun. You pick different stocks, you buy them, you sell them. Stocks go up and down each year. Some of them go up a lot and down a lot. Some are a little bit more mild, kind of like the normal stock market. Some of them give dividends. This time we played with our youngest boys. It was a 3-player game. My youngest boy ended up winning. He took a big chance at the end, and it paid off huge for him. I played it very conservatively. I did take a chance at the end, and it did not pay off, so I lost. I took 3rd place. But always a fun game. However, it only scored a 16, which is usually pretty typical for this game. It usually scores in the 16 to 17 range. But that's going to make it really hard for it to move on, because it needs to roll a 5 or 6 in order to move on. Then we got Forgotten Depths. We've only played this one other time, and I had completely forgotten it, so this one really didn't leave much of a memory. It's kind of hard to explain this game. You draw tiles and try to build out your dungeon with the tiles, and there are monsters and events that will block your way, and you have to get down to the stairs to get down to the next level, which will be the next game and play. It's an okay game. It takes forever to set up and read the rules, but it's only an okay game. It scored a 15, which I've always said previously that that's not enough, or that is enough for it to be in the tournament next year. But the way things have gone in the bottom of this half, that might not be the case. More on that in just a moment. So there's a question mark whether this will be relegated or not. But anyhow, Forgotten Depths, even if it rolls a 6, cannot make it to the next round, but it could potentially win this game, which really won't do much for anything other than pride. Stocks and Bonds needs a 5 or better. For Forgotten Depths to win, it needs to roll 3 higher on the die than Stocks and Bonds. Stocks and Bonds in the green box is going to be the green die. Forgotten Realms in the gray box is going to be the gray die. So let's see who's going to move on. Let's go ahead and roll this on the Monopoly board. Why not? Yes, we have Monopoly in the tournament. Both roll 2s. So the good news for Stocks and Bonds is it wins the game with a score of 17 to 16. However, that die roll means that Stocks and Bonds is out. Catan Rivals, the card game, which was on the bubble, is now in. I actually don't remember offhand who the number 6 game was. I know 7 is Rain. Oh, I know the game. I just don't remember its name. It's one of our new games. Shoot. Well, I'll look that up later. I should have looked that up. But I don't think that it's going to. It might. We'll see. It's going to come down to one more die roll. All right. So we've got Ticket to Ride versus Monopoly. Now, here's how we do with Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride, each box usually gets 1 entry, provided that it is a game that is significantly different than every other game. Now, Ticket to Ride Asia by itself is a cooperative game, and it is a game that is different enough because it's team-based. team-based game that is definitely very different, and so it deserves its own entry. However, since we didn't play that game at the start of the year, and it's its own entry, we played it to score it. It scored a 17, but it will not be in the tournament, but it will be seeded for next year with a 17, which means that the teams that are being relegated just got it a little bit harder, because instead of 16 teams getting relegated, we now have 17, and that number could go up later because we've got 2 games that we're going to probably play on my birthday, April 1st, before the tournament ends. That won't be part of the tournament, but we'll seed them for next year, and that is Puerto Rico, which we just bought, and a game called Beyond the Sun, which was my Christmas gift from my wife. Both of those seem like they're going to be decent games. They'll probably score more than 15.5. So the 15s are not safe. Ticket to Ride. Now, for this one, we actually did the Ticket to Ride Legendary Asia. And we decided that Ticket to Ride Legendary Asia was very similar to Ticket to Ride Europe. And so for the Ticket to Ride Europe spot, we can either play Ticket to Ride Europe or Ticket to Ride Legendary Asia, because it has the long route and a lot of things that are also very similar. So we played that. We scored it a 17, and we decided that that was going to take the place of Ticket to Ride Europe this year, because we like that better than Ticket to Ride Europe. So we will actually play both games in this box, but one of them is going to take Ticket to Ride Europe's spot, and the other one, which is the game that this is advertising, this is the B-side, which I kind of like better, to be honest, is going to make it next year, not this year. Now, since it scored a 17, it is going to have to roll a die. It needs to roll a 3 or better, so it's got a 67% chance of making it to the next round. If it rolls a 1 or 2, it will be out for now. However, we are getting to the point where we have enough games that are out that the teams, the games that score an 18 are actually now on the bubble. So right now our bubble is, we have 2 games of the play-ins that are the bubble at an 18.5. Then we have the 118 that we have so far, which is Wingspan on the bubble. And then we've got Cats and Quilts of Calico, which is in the play-ins on 18 at the back end of the bubble, if that makes any sense. Now, Space Jam Monopoly, better than normal Monopoly, because it is a much quicker game. You only have 2 per. This is very similar to Monopoly Junior, but with the regular Monopoly prices, so I like it way better. If you get 1 of each color, the game's not over, because there are cards that can force you to trade and get and give monopolies. And so the game is never over. You don't get these games where it's like, oh, we both have 1 of every color. The game's a draw after playing for 2 hours. You don't get that with Space Jam Monopoly. So I like it better than normal Monopoly. My kid loves basketball, LeBron James. And he's seen the movie. He hasn't, has he seen the regional? I think he liked the regional better, but he did love this movie because it was basketball. Love that movie or hate it. He's a huge basketball fan. He's been playing basketball forever. You know, he's in his early teens, but he's on his 7th or 8th season of basketball. It's crazy. Anyhow, this one only scored a 13.5, which was like, oh, yep, Monopoly, that sounds about right. Why was this in the tournament as a 10 seed? They did better last year. So this one's relegated. In fact, this is the only one in this part of the division that's relegated. So we are up to 11 out of 48 that are relegated. But we've got 17 spots at 15.5 or above. So that means if we don't get 6 or more 14.5s in the last 16 games, and it might have to be more because we have extra games in, then we're going to have to start relegating the 15s. Now, how that's going to work is that the worst seed gets relegated first. So the ones that are in danger, all the 15s so far, there have been 4 of them. Valerian, the 16 seed, would be the first to go. Then Citadel, which is the 13 seed. Then Star Trek, the deck building game, the original series, that'll break my heart a little bit, would be the next one to go. And then Forgotten Depths is number 4. And then any 15s that score in the last 16 would also be at risk for relegation. More on that when we get to the next 2 videos. All right, so anyhow, we need to see if this one moves on or if The other one moves on, whose name I don't remember. If it moves on, I will put it in the comments, in the description. But I forget. But anyhow, hopefully this will roll a 3 or higher. We won't have to worry about that. All right, and moving on to the second round is Ticket to Ride Asia Legends with a 19. Okay, so, don't have to remember that. Now, by the way, who's going to replace Stocks and Bonds, the 6th seed? That'll be decided by the place of the winner, which is Burger Joint. Will get whoever the highest seed is, which right now is a 5 seed. And then the next one down will get the 6th seed, and so on and so forth. This has been a very bad tournament, by the way, for the 6 seeds. We have had no 6 seeds make it to the next round yet. 2 of them have been bounced by play-in games, and 1 got bounced by the 11 seed, which was in the North Division. So this has been a very bad tournament for the 6s. The 6s playing in this tournament are like the 5s in the sports tournament. Will we get a 6 seed in? Our next 6 seed is EcoFlux, which again, we actually like quite a bit. I suspect that one will be rated kind of high, so it will definitely have a chance, but it will come down to the die roll, as it sometimes does. So we'll see if we can finally get a 6 into the tournament. But for now, none have made it. In fact, this is the first 7 that has made it into the tournament, because one of the 7s got bounced by a playing team, and the other one got upset. Because if you go back to the video for the West Division, the West Division, not the North, the West, which was the last division that we did, both the 6 and 7 seeds got upset by the 10 and 11 seeds. So it was pretty crazy. This one's been a little bit more normal, other than the 6 seed being out again. But that's how it goes. Now, what about the 2 seed versus 15 seed? Are we going to see anything crazy here? And the answer is no. This one was a blowout. Star Realms, great deck building card game. It won our tournament 2 years ago. It's a 2 seed this year, which just shows to go how much our library has been built up over the last 2 years. Scored an 18.5, which is enough for it to move on. Bring Out Your Dead. It's kind of hard to describe this game. Each round, you pick the purple side or the green side, and you play cards, and then those cards allow you to possibly place these coffins. But be careful, because if you try to place too many, there's only a certain number that can be placed by everyone combined in the round, and if you try to place too many, they go into the river. And they lose you points instead of make you points. And then the ones that don't go in the river, you can place on the board, and there's different ways to score points, and there's different types of cards that can do different things. It's a pretty interesting game. It's a game that, one of those games at first, it kind of overwhelms you a little bit because there's so much to think about. Analysis paralysis. But this is a game that's been slowly creeping up on us. It hasn't jumped up, but it has gone up a little bit each time we play it. It did score 16, which for a 15 seed is phenomenal. This will be much higher seed next year. But not enough to make it. So Star Realms wins, and we'll play Ticket to Ride Legendary Asia in the second round. Do want to give some preliminaries. I've talked about the relegations. The top 8, the seeds 1 through 8 will be interesting, because it looks like right now it's going to take a 16.5 to make an 8 seed next year, but not guaranteed. You could have some 16.5s drop all the way down to a 10 seed. So it takes a 17 or higher to guarantee a spot in the top for the top for a higher seed, a home game, if you will, in next year's tournament. Are out of 127 games that we own. Looks like we have 127 at the moment, so almost enough for a full another tournament. That means 63 in the plans. We will not play all 63 games. We will have something to narrow that down by about half, because there's way too many games to play in a year. But we'll have a way around that. So some interesting things to watch out for when we do the last division, the South Division. we have a 2 seed that may not make it, because we've already played that game early, because we did some fun things scheduling. It's at risk, and so some very fun things can happen from the South Division. So keep an eye out for that. This first round is gonna finish up pretty crazy. You know, I was not expecting Cats of Calico to be even in the equation at this point. Definitely, I thought Wingspan was done, but Wingspan may come back in. We'll see. We have 5 games so far from the play-ins that have punched their tickets. We'll see if number 6 and number 7 can make it in the last 8 matchups that we have. One of which we've done, and well, there's going to be some interesting stuff. Let's just say that the craziness will continue. So until next time, that is this part of the round and some extra information about later on. I'll see you in the next video. Well, you'll hear me in the next video. There's really not much seen other than the games themselves, which, let's be honest, you don't want to see me. You'd rather see the games. There's the games. Okay. Goodbye.